Life feels right again here at the Stafford Motor Speedway as we are set for the first time in 2022 to go racing on Friday night. And after the 50th Napa Spring Sizzler 2 weeks ago, we needed some time to kind of collect ourselves, gather ourselves, but we're ready to go for a full season of racing.
It was an exciting weekend, to say the least. So much drama, so many storylines, and what a way to cap it off. That battle at the end of the 50th Spring Sizzler between Matt Hirschman and Ryan Preece. You really couldn't ask for two of the top guys like those two to go at it, restart after restart, passing each other on the outside, sparks flying, bottoming out. In the end, Hirschman came home with the win, capping off an incredible night of racing, incredible weekend of racing. But yeah, we got the week there off to just cool ourselves down, but we're ready to go once again.
So many storylines came out of opening weekend for our 5 weekly divisions here at the track, including in the street stocks. Big wreck on the back straightaway took out one contender, while a familiar face went to victory lane.
Yeah, you got to feel for Nick Hovey. He was fast, really fast, but unfortunately had some sort of issue coming off of turn 2, hit the wall, and then got clobbered in the back end by Samantha Dell. Thankfully, those two came out of it unscathed because that was a really hard impact, and we expect those two to be back for Friday night's racing. And you can't count out Hovey. We saw how fast he was in opening week, but you also can't count out the winner of last week's event, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, in Travis Hydar. He has a trend of doing really well early on in the season. If he can get over that lump in the summer stretch, he could be a really, really tough contender to deal with. We know he's going to be a title contender, and he showed it, taking home that win. That nice little throwback cars of his.
Going back 20 years, that throwback pace scheme last year for Travis, his first multi-win season. He's on pace to do that again here in 2022. Same type of story for the limited late models, where the contenders that we expected to run and finish up front got caught up in a big incident off of turn number 4, and a bit of an underdog took down the race win.
Big is an understatement. That was a massive wreck in turn 4. Alex Fern and Mike Hopkins battling for the lead. A little bit of contact, and it just all went south. It involved half the field pretty much. Lavoie was involved in it. You saw Damian Polardi, Gary Patno was involved. Another big hit in regards to Hopkins and Fern. You feel for Hopkins because he wasn't really going to race the whole season. He said his season was over in the interview. Hopefully that's not really the case because he is fast. He's always been fast when he comes here to Stafford. He got 2 wins last year. But Matt Clement was fast, had a weird issue with his car where the radiator cap came off and he spun in his own water. So you still got a stout field of limited late models despite all the incidents last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm thinking it's last week, but it was 2 weeks ago. But in the end, Matt Scapini on the restart just blows by Rich Hammond and holds the field off. And he didn't really know how he had that happen as well because he was a little bit off in the first half of the race. It wasn't really a contender, but you just never know in these races what may happen. And good for Matt, win number 2 at Stafford.
You can say the same in the late models. Boy, it got physical and got physical in a big way early and was fun to watch last year's reigning champ battle his way back up through the field to only fall 1 spot short of a checkered flag.
Yeah, Michael Ray getting the win. Maybe a couple more laps, Bennett had a shot, but you were talking about what happened earlier in the event.
Right about where we're standing.
Yep, Adam Gray, Michael Bennett, Wayne Corey Jr., the top 3 all tangle after Gray and Bennett were just slugging at each other the previous couple laps. You feel for Wayne Corey, a bit of an innocent victim in that whole situation. We saw Darrell Keene have an incident, but good for Michael Ray. He finally broke that winless streak last year. Starts off the year with a win. Tom Fern was dirt tracking it half the time it seemed. He was sideways.
He was.
Several times. It did lead to a right rear tire going down, though, which is why he faltered at the end. But he also showed speed before all the craziness happened. So that late model field, it's still really tough. And you're not really sure who the big favorite is right now.
SK Light Modifieds also in action 2 weeks ago, and again a familiar face. I think the winningest driver over the last several seasons at the track, back in victory lane, and what was a fairly clean event for those competitors.
But that one caution was a big one.
It was a big one.
It was a big one. George Bissett Jr. and Alex Pearl, who were at the front of the field for the first half of the race, tangling with a lapped car in turn 3, taking them both out. A huge situation for 2 guys you expect to be title contenders here at this track in the SK Light division. But in the end, Derek Debus, 13 wins in 2 full years plus 1 race this year. I mean, he has just been on a tear in this division, the defending champion, getting off on the right foot, 2 consecutive Spring Sizzler opening day victories.
And we'll wrap up our preview with the SK Modifieds. And, I mean, what can you say about the SK Modifieds, especially the finish? Last year's champion coming out on top by that much.
2/100ths of a second to be exact. What a battle. Todd Owen and Brian Narducci, 2 people who have gone way back, who have worked together for several years. They've had their battles on the track, but this was a good, clean race between these two drivers, two wheelmen who know how to get done, the SKs, and the classiness after the race of Todd going to Brian's car and shaking hands with him. It was just a really good situation overall. And Brian really showed himself in that opening day to be one to watch. He's got great equipment with Tick Mike and the 85 team. He knows how to drive. But what a great race overall. You saw David Arute up there in the front. Ronnie Williams was up there with Todd and Brian. You saw Jimmy Blewett go from the back to the front and then get caught up in an accident. Dan Weston came from the back after getting black flagged. He finished 4th. John Montesanto,
top 5.
5th. Petty Cash, top 5 with 2 cars. I mean, there was a lot going on. Troy Talman was involved in an incident. He came back to finish 6th. So there's a lot of unknowns. It was a very, very tight SK modified field. A lot of cars. This could be a really good year. It's always a good year, but this year could just be a little bit better for the Premier Division.
And 2 drivers that you wouldn't expect to finish last and next to last in the field, in Keith Rocco and Marcello Refrano. They both had tough weekends.
Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. I mean, we know what those two can do, especially Keith and SK Modified. Keith's got a brand new team, racing with the Payne team, the 57 car that had a lot of success at Thompson Waterford. You can never count Keith out, and we know Refrano is so close to getting that first SK win. He won an open race here. He knows how to get it done, just needs a little bit of luck.
My last question for you, Bonssa.
Oh, gosh.
What's it going to take to put you in a big wheel?
You have to talk to your roots with that one. I don't want to break the little toy bikes, but we do have the big wheel race coming up as well this Friday, and the last driver who won that, well, I say driver in quotes, Brantley Sullivan, the son of Brian Sullivan, won this. So we'll see who comes out on top this time, because even those little kids, they can be competitive.
Usually are on Monday nights. Most of them are our karting kids on Monday nights, part of the Wild Thing Karts program. But all focus will be on the big wheel race and our 5 weekly divisions here opening Friday night. All the heat race action kicks off at 6 o'clock, features about an hour later at 7. If you can't be here in person, you can tune in live on flowracing.com.